command yet. What we're going to do is we're just going to go to agents.kw.com. Now my history is kind of catching up, but the website that you'll go for command is agents.kw.com. And that'll take you right into, let me log out real quick. That'll take you to this main screen right here. You're going to log in with your Keller Williams login. So this is usually your first initial and your last name. If you have a common last name like I do, you may have some numbers attached to it as well. But this is your KW login. This works for my KW. This works for KW Connect. And for those of you who have downloaded the Kelly app as well, this is all the same login for everything. This is the Keller Williams platform. So I'm going to go ahead and sign in. And this is your overview. This is your homepage. So throughout the week, we're going to dig into a couple of the different applets that we have over here on the left. And one of my favorite KW life hacks that I'm going to share with y'all right out of the gate is if you go ahead and click this red KW, this will expand the tool names. So when I say like jump to opportunities or jump to campaigns, jump to whatever, if you hit the red KW, that expands that, and you don't have to rely on remembering the handshake or the bullhorn, any of that stuff. But the most important things we're going to focus on this week are going to be your contacts, your opportunities, and then on Thursday, it's going to be a combination of like smart plans and consumer. I just want to point this out because Command does so much. It's designed to be a one-stop shop for real estate agents that you can do everything from like a cold lead and creating marketing all the way in all the different steps, the 100 different hours it takes to go through the actual transaction process with somebody from start to finish. It's all here in one spot. So it's going to be overwhelming. There's a lot of things to do here. If you hear nothing else from me, as a new agent, don't go chasing like the shiny objects. The most important thing in Command is your contacts, hands down. This is what we're going to talk about and spend the most of the time on tomorrow. But your contacts and your database is the most important thing that you're going to focus on. Today, we're going to do the prerequisite to that. We're going to jump right into reports. And if y'all want to click along with me and do this alongside, please feel free to. But we're going to jump into reports. And reports is where we can set our goals for the upcoming year. And it's important to have an idea of where we want to go, because then we can reverse engineer a path on how to get there. Cool. So has everyone clicked on reports? It's the bar graph icon over here on the left. And I know some of y'all are driving.
When I go to that site you said go to, it just goes to kw.com.
So agents singular.kw.com. Did you put in www?
Yeah.
Yeah, don't do the www.
Okay.
Just agents.kw.com. That should get you there. For whatever reason, I'm not an IT person, despite having technology in my job title. I'm not IT. Maybe someone on the call can help. But yeah, www tends to break more websites than it helps in the last couple of years. But yeah, go to agent.kw. And that should take you back to that login page. Does that work for you? Was it Dewanda?
I'm sorry. Yes, that works. I'm sorry.
Cool. Excellent. Yeah. And I would recommend go ahead and bookmark that page now, because this is going to be where you're going to need to go pretty much moving forward. Cool. All right. So we're going to go into reports, which is the bar graph looking icon over here on the left. All right. Now here's the fun question that I like to ask in every class. How much money do y'all want to make this year? Feel free to take yourself off mute.
Unlimited.
This is a safe space. We're all getting started.
$1 million.
$1 million. I love it.
110.
110 or 1.10 million, just to beat Dwayne.
110. 1,000. Yeah.
Okay. Anyone lower?
300.
300. Man, right. Anyone lower than that? Anyone like 50,000 or lower?
No.
Yeah, 100,000.
100,000?
Yeah, that would be the closest to what I was making to actually replace my income, and then I can set a higher goal for next year once I've replaced my income.
Love it. Love it. Anyone less than 100,000? And there's no judgment there, believe me.
I wouldn't be mad.
You won't be mad with 100,000? Okay. All right, we'll use that as our number today then. I love this group, by the way. This is probably my favorite group that I've taught this class to so far, because this is definitely the highest median that we've had. I've had a lot of agents who are in like the dual career situation where like, oh, I just need to replace a portion of my salary and then I'll make a bigger plan. Like y'all came out swinging like 1 million, 110,000, 300,000. I love it. This is going to be a fun day today. I'm going to scare you here in a minute, but this is going to be a fun day today. Does anyone know, this is my follow-up question to this, what it takes to achieve that goal in real estate? So if you said 110,000 or a million, how many closings do you need to have? How many appointments do you need to go on?
25. Courtesy
25?
Bill.
All right. Are you good with math, James?
I can punch it numbers in Excel.
All right, fair enough.
25 in general? 25?
Oh yeah, so we broke it down. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Bill Linkwald. We just broke down the numbers and like there's just a certain algorithm to follow, I guess you could say. He already has the solutions and everything to map out what number would connect to what. And I told him my goals for the year, and we just broke it down. It's basically 15 listings and 10 buyers transactions to reach.
Excellent. So, all right. So I love Bill. Bill's like my best friend inside the Georgia Legacy Group. He's full of crap. So Bill did not come up with that. I just want to point out something. What Bill is following and what I want to share with y'all next, I'm saying that because I love Bill, is this book right here.
Yes, sir. Yep.
The Millionaire Real Estate Agent.
He
Now,
gave what girls do.
did he give credit to Gary or did Bill try and steal it? Okay. All right. Never mind. Bill's good then. So a little secret, Keller Williams, we basically teach 4 main models through our training sessions. It doesn't matter if you're inside of technology or if you're inside the productivity coaching program, or if you're just going to like one of our general classes. We basically preach the 4 models inside of here. Does anyone know what they are? Okay, I'm gonna give you an easy way to remember these. This is going to be like your initiation to KW. ELBO, elbow. So I remember this. Economic, which is the one we're going to go over today. Lead generation, budget, and organization. Those are the 4 models that tell you, here's the goals that we are going after. This is our greater financial picture that we're trying to achieve. Lead generation will take that number and tell us what are daily activities that we need to go on, how many appointments, and some of the strategies that are along with that. Our budget will tell us literally if I'm going to operate a large team or if I'm going to operate a business like a single agent, my financial component to that. What does my budget have to look like? And then organization is really a cool model. It shows you how to build a team to replace yourself so that one day you can actually retire as a real estate agent and replace yourself with a CEO and still make money off this thing that we're creating today, 5 years from now, or whatever your goal is. But those are the 4 main models that we're teaching. They are currently rewriting or writing a new version of this book. They've been talking about it for the last 4 years. I have a feeling it's probably closer to production because we're seeing a lot more updated models and they're sharing them with us now. But like right now, this is gold. And if you're not a numbers person, because I'm not, it's nice to have technology do this stuff for you. So I'm glad that y'all had an Excel spreadsheet. I'm going to walk you through a command that takes a look at that economic model, the very first model inside of the Red Book, MREA, and we're going to walk through it and reverse engineer your goals. So
Real
inside
quick,
of,
Sam,
oh, go ahead.
where can I find that book at?
Yeah, talk to your team leader. They should have a copy. If not, if y'all can still see my screen, I would recommend go to kellerinc.com. You can also get on Amazon, but I like Keller Inc. a little bit better because there is a like a leadership version of it where you can get the tabs and the spiral bound, where normally you'll just see this one online. But kellerinc.com is a great resource to buy all those books.
Okay, thank you.
I would recommend to new agents, purchase the Shift book first. Read this book first. And just remain in culture. I said Shift, SHIFT. The MREA, the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, reads like a textbook. Shift is more of like a how-to manual. It's like pulling out the IKEA instructions and you can build something by the end of it. It gets a little bit more gritty on things that you can implement that day, where MREA is kind of like the bigger plan. Now, my personal favorite out of the collection is the one thing. It has nothing to do with real estate. It's all about goal setting and getting your priorities right. This is a great website. I would definitely recommend buying all of those. And just a little bit of a hack. If you're interested in like the spiral bound versions of these or the tab versions, click on the book themselves and then scroll down. There would be suggested material where you can get the leadership editions. Cool. All right, let me find command again. But talk to your team leader. They should have a few extra copies laying around as well. Cool. All right. So in command, if you are not a numbers person, if you're going to open up, and for those of you who do have the book, the economic model starts on page 131 of the MREA, and it kind of looks like a worksheet. It says, okay, let's figure out your plans. You can kind of work through this if you want to. Command makes this really, really easy. So I'm going to click on reports. I'm going to jump up to this tab at the very top that says goals. So this is where you'll create your goals. Now, mine are already established. This is based off of, I think the last class we were shooting for $200,000. But what you want to do, yours is probably going to be blank here. You just want to click this goal setting button up here in the top right. It's this teal aqua color up here in the top right. We're going to click on goal settings. And this is going to walk you through what we call a Kelly guide. Now, Kelly guides, they pop up occasionally inside of command. You'll see these when you build out your website. You'll see them when you do goal setting. What I like about them is it just simplifies difficult things. So if you don't come from a background where numbers are your bag, or if you don't come from like a web graphic design background, Kelly guides, there you'll see a few of those fit in there as well. These are your friend. They're fantastic. But I'm just going to walk through. We're going to click get started. Now, mine have already been preset. So I have some numbers and some things here. But what we're going to do is we're basically going to play around with this right side over here. It's going to have our profit goals. So let me just go ahead and clear these things out. It's going to yell at me for a little bit. But yours should look similar to mine. I will say just double check. The first thing we're going to look at is what year that we're goal setting for. So I believe that they may have added 2022. You may see 2022 on your screen. If not, we're just going to go ahead and goal set for 2021. That's the one we're going to be in anyways. And then we're going to select what our profit goal is. So I'm going to go ahead and delete that out. What number do we want to use today? And I would recommend if you're playing along at home, go ahead and put your number in here. I don't care if it's $1 million. I don't care if it's 300,000. I don't care if it's 110. I don't care if it's $4. Go ahead and put your own personal goal. What matters most to you? Now, I do want to clarify something though. Look at the wording. 2021 annual profit goal. What is profit? And you can't cheat and you can hover over the I, but what is profit? What does that word mean?
The number that's left after everything is paid out as far as expenses.
Yes. Yes. Profit matters. We want to talk about profit. It doesn't matter if you run $1 million gross business and you profit $1, that's not a business worth owning. That just means you run a really, really expensive business. We want to focus on how much money you actually take home. This is money that you can put inside your wallet or put inside your purse, put inside your checking account. We want to talk about the number that you want to take home. So for those of you who came from a salaried background, yes, you may have made $100,000 salary, but how much did Uncle Sam take out of your paycheck? That was your profit. For even those of you who came from a salary background, you didn't make everything that you made. So we're going to think the same way. We're going to make sure that we type in our actual profit goal. This is what we want to take home, money in the bank. So let's just go ahead for easy math. I'm going to use $100,000 today. Let's go ahead and do whatever number you want to. Now, I asked the question, how much money y'all want to make? When you guys met with your team leader, they ask you that same question? How much do you want to make? What did you say to them? Was it the same number that you shared with me today or something different?
Same.
Yeah. I used to be a team leader. I can tell you, this is probably like this is the number one, like if we're playing Family Feud, $100,000 would be like the number one spot on like that survey. Every new agent coming in says, I want to make 100 grand. I'll make 100 grand. It's my favorite thing. Like, it's almost like I could gamble on that one because I know that's going to be the answer. We're going to use that one for easy math today, but put whatever number is important to you. And no one inside of KW has the ability to go see that number. So if it's less than 100K, it's not always about money. It's about the time and the flexibility that you have inside the real estate world. Cool. So we're gonna put your profit goal in. Next, we're gonna type in your expenses and your cost of sales. Does anyone want to take a stab at the difference between expenses and cost of sales? What's the difference? And you can cheat and use the information button if you want to.
Would expenses be like marketing versus cost of sales? I don't know. I don't know what cost of sales would be. Like, I don't know. Like what you would split?
Yeah, that is a cost of sale. Yeah. Your split would be a cost of sale. So I like to start with the phrase cost of sale first. A cost of sale is something that would only happen when you have a sale. Expenses is everything else. So if I'm paying for, let's just say that I'm renting a space in the office, like I'm renting a cube, or if I have an office, I pay rent to somebody. I pay that rent whether I have a sale or not. A cost of sale only happens when I have a deal. So that could be your split to the market center. It could be a referral fee that you pay to another agent. It could be, if you're paying a transaction coordinator, that could technically kind of fall underneath cost of sale. But those are expenses that only occur when you have a deal. Now, there's a lot of gray area and there's a lot of argument in between those two things. So you can say like, all right, well, I wouldn't have had to take listing photos if I didn't get the listing. Well, you can take a listing and still not have a sale. That does happen. So the idea is we just want to have a general idea of like, we're going to split these expenses because it really matters when we break them down. Now, based on the MREA, the Millionaire Real Estate Agent, the model that we're shooting for, and if you're not sure, what we're striving for is a 40% profit margin. So that means that my expenses and my cost of sales should be about 30 each. They total 60. And you can see this over here on the left. My profit goal is 100,000. That's 40%. My cost of sales, 75,000. That's 30%. My operating expenses, that's 30%. That's 75,000. So we want to run, if we're running the book, a 40% profit margin inside of real estate. That's how you become a millionaire real estate agent. Now, if you're at 38.9% or if you're at 42%, that's, there's a window of fluctuation and it's totally fine. But if you're shooting for $1 million, you're going to be closer to 750,000. You're going to kind of figure that out. And if you're not, if you're not a math person, like I'm not, just go ahead and put your numbers in, type in 80,000 and see how far off you are. You can play the run around, fix a game if you're not good with math. Does that make sense? We go with this? Okay, thumbs up, heads. Yep, cool. All right. Now, this is important to us because, like I said, if we're saying that we're running a super profitable business, and in this case, we would have to gross $250,000. So if I want to make 100,000, that means that I have to gross 250,000. So it's not a matter of just having $100,000 in commission. I need to get closer to 250. So this is how we calculate that out. Now, another important thing that we're going to look at is your business makeup. What percentage of your listings is buyers? What percentage of your business is buyers and sellers and then leases? Why do you think we break this down? Why is this important? A sale is a sale, right? We typically get paid the same commission whether we have a listing or a buyer, mostly. Why do we care? Why do we care to break this down?
Catering to each side has their own different expenses and factors to put in.
They do. Yeah, that's one part of it. Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, the seller. So
Okay.
sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
The seller pays the commission, so you would want to benefit. I mean, wouldn't we benefit more by listing versus getting? Oh, sorry. That you can.
No, I agree. I agree with everything you said. Yeah, the seller pays the commission no matter what. So if you're working with a buyer, you're working with the seller, it's not coming out of your pocket, it's coming out of the homeowners, right? They're paying that as part of the listing agreement. The key thing that we know about listings and why we want to focus on these and why they matter, if you're listing focused or listing based, you will double your business faster than somebody who's working with buyers. And we know through our studies and the data that we collect, both through the research of this book and then continually, one listing should bring you 2 buyers. So every time that I put a sign in front of one of my clients' houses, I should get 2 buyers that come from that one sign. So I get 3 clients when I put a listing in. When I put a buyer in, I get 1 buyer. I may get a listing, it just kind of depends. But we know almost like a law, that's how consistent this is. Every one listing I put in, I typically pick up 2 buyers, which is so important, especially for you new agents. Why, like when you go in the productivity coaching program and we talk a lot about for like new agent training, go do open houses, because you may not have got the listing, but you can still get the buyers that are unrepresented. They're coming through there. This is why we encourage you to go sit a listing open house for someone else's listing. It's a great way for you to grow your database and to find buyers that are coming in unrepresented. But it's the fastest way to double your business to focus on listings. Now, if we're all new agents or if we don't have the track record, our own stats for today, just leave it at 50-50. We don't know which way we swing yet. You can go ahead and do 50-50. Now, I will say there's nothing wrong with buyers. Buyers are way more fun. That is like the emotional part of real estate. That's where you're helping people find their dream homes. That's where, like, I don't know, move-in day and closing day is like a dream, because like everyone's happy, everyone's on cloud 9. You get all your pictures on social media and all the blasts and all that fun stuff. It's so fun to work with buyers. There's a niche out there that you can definitely work with buyers. And like, there's a lot of teams that have buyer specialists that just work on buyers for their teams. I'm not talking crap on buyers agents. Believe me, I'm not. It's the fun side of it. But just know, if you're looking to grow a big business with a big goal, it's a lot easier to focus on listings because the buyers will come. Okay. All right. Now, if you want to go ahead and do this with me, the average commission right now for all 3 of our market signers inside the Georgia Legacy Group is right around $10,000. So you sell a house, doesn't matter if it's a listing or buyer, we're averaging right now about $10,000 per unit, buy or sell side. So go ahead and put that number in there. And then if there's a point, like at the end of the year, after the end of your first year, if you're higher than that, if you're lower than that, go ahead and put your own numbers in here. We have what's called a multi-year trend report that you have access to that tells you your average commission. So like once you start getting a few deals, you'll see those reports and you can come in here and put real numbers in. But just for now, let's just put the average. We'll put in 10,000. And then once you're done with this page, before I hit next, I'm going to ask, is everyone cool with this page right here? Any questions? Okay. All right. If you're okay with these numbers and you have your own numbers in here, go ahead and hit the next button. And this is a fun screen. Anyone with a sales background want to take a shot at what this screen represents? And you don't have to solely be in a
Is it
sales
a tier?
position.
Is it a tier?
A tier?
Yeah.
I wouldn't call it that. I don't think so.
So with conversion rates, isn't that like, because it's all a numbers game, out of like every 100, how many are you converting to an actual deal? Like out of every 100, is it 1 person or 3 solid or hot leads or warm leads?
Yeah, you have to know your numbers, right? So let's just say that I'm looking to lead generate, and let's say that, and there's a million ways that you can lead generate. You're going to learn that in the next couple of classes as well. If I'm spending the majority of my time, let's just say, using Facebook leads, and I know for every 100 leads, I get 1 appointment, and I need 2 appointments to get an agreement, that tells me that I need 200 Facebook leads to get 2 appointments to turn into 1 deal. So it's good to know your lead sources and what opportunity they provide for you, because it opens up several other doors. And I'll kind of walk through this. We're gonna remove the Facebook part of this, but in general, what this is going to tell me is, if I have a goal of, I'm going to start at the bottom, to have an X amount of closed units, I then need to determine how many contracts I need to get. And for every contract that I get, not all of them are going to close. So I may have to get more agreements than I do contracts. But let me kind of walk you through that. So what we're looking at is that and why I don't call this a tier, I would call this more of like a funnel. This is more of like your sales funnel or your sales pipeline. Every single person that we communicate becomes a lead. Our goal is to take a lead and turn them into a contact. Now, I'm gonna spend just a second here on these two words because they are the most two confusing things in real estate. Because we'll kind of use the word lead and contact interchangeably a lot. There is a little bit of a difference. It does say it right here in this description below, but a lead is a person who's shown interest in your services but have not engaged in a two-way conversation. So that means more or less, I have their contact information. They gave me their contact information. So whether they walk through an open house or maybe I decided to get a billboard on 400 and they reached out to me that way, I have their information through my real estate services, through my real estate conversations. I have their contact information. Now, the difference between a lead and a contact is this part here. A lead is somebody who is not engaged, have not engaged in two-way conversation. A contact is someone who has. So think about this. A lead is a one-way conversation. I have their information. I'm calling them every 3 months, excuse me, calling them every 3 months. They may or may not pick up. I'm doing pop buys. Maybe I'll drop something off their house every 3 months. I'm sending them bi-weekly emails. I'm sending them emails every 2 weeks. I'm sending them a bunch of marketing, but they don't respond. That's a lead. They're in my database. I'm sending them information. A contact is merely the same thing, but somebody interacted from that stuff that I'm sending out. It's a two-way conversation, a two-way engagement now. So if I sent them a calendar for the upcoming Braves baseball season with my business card attached to it on a magnet, and they reached out to me of like, hey, it's so, great timeliness on your magnet I was thinking about selling, that becomes a contact. That's two-way conversation now. They reach out to me. You'll often hear the same thing between, and we'll talk about this tomorrow, the difference between prospect and marketing. It's kind of the same concept. How is that conversation going? Now, we know that not every lead is going to become a contact. Not every contact is going to become an appointment. So that's why we have these conversion rates in place. So this is industry standard, what you're seeing that's already embedded in Command. So 5%, 5%, and then 75 for the other 4. This is industry average at the moment. So that means if I have 100 leads in my database, only 5 of those are going to become contacts. And then only 5% of those would become an appointment out of that. So if you have a small database with only 100 people, you need to get more leads. You need to get more names. You need to go out there and get more people. So this is going to help us understand if I have a goal of getting $1 million in sales or $1 million in profit, that tells me how many closed units I need. And then we can reverse engineer all these numbers to tell us how many contacts we eventually need to get there. Now, I would say most agents never touch these conversion rates. And that's okay. This is the average. It's okay to put these average numbers in here. It gives you a clear indicator of where you need to be. But I would just tell you that there is a huge difference in hunting with a rifle versus hunting with a shotgun. And for those of you that aren't familiar with firearms, a shotgun, when you pull the trigger, sends a wide burst out. It's a big target, hits a big target. A rifle is one bullet that shoots wherever you aimed it at. So precision can be key here. A lot of agents, and there are a lot of tactics that will tell you just play the numbers game. Go out there and get as many people as you possibly can. I will tell you that there is another game that you can play here. If you focus on strengthening up your skills or your scripts and your dialogues, you can increase the quality of your conversion rates. And if you start by just changing this from a 5% to a 6% or a 5% to a 7%, the rest of this gets really easy. So there's 2 games you can play. You can play the numbers game, hunting with a shotgun, or you can become a master. You can become the local real estate expert. You can sharpen up your skills, get good with scripts and dialogues, and focus on getting better at converting. And there you can see this becomes a little bit easier of making the numbers work for you versus just going out and getting more numbers. Questions, ahas on that? Does that make sense? I'm sure you guys are hearing this for the first time, just to make sure this is clear and you guys are taking something from it. Okay, cool. So go ahead and hit save and continue. And honestly, you're done. We're done with it. That's the cool part. This will give you a review. This screen here doesn't do a whole lot for me. It just confirms all the same stuff I just entered in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click this white X in the teal box up here in the top right. This is going to take me back into command. And I'm going to show you essentially the same screen, but in a different location. But once you've saved that and you've entered your goals, you'll now see, oh, I need to switch to my other account. You'll now see that I have $100,000 as my profit goal here. And this gives me an idea of what it is I need to do as an agent now. So I'm going to start, this is that same thing. This is my sales pipeline: leads, contacts, appointments set, appointments kept, agreements under contract and closed. I want to start over here on the right and work my way back to the left. So I told Command, or I've used the economic model to say that I want to profit $100,000. So in order to do that, that means that I need to close 24 units. I need to sell 24 houses based on my average commission and the average conversion rates to make up 24 deals to make $100,000. Now, not every unit will work. Some things fall through. Appraisal may fall out, or a bad inspection, and your buyer decides that they don't want to make it. So in order to get to 24 closed units, that means I probably need to write or go under contract 34 times. Now, that means that there's going to be some fall off as well. There's going to be about 25% fall off. So that means that I need to write 44 agreements. Can anyone tell me the difference, or what is an agreement and what is under contract? What's an agreement? What's a contract?
Agreement, I guess, is between the client that you're representing, and under contract would be everybody in the picture.
Yes. Yeah. So those terms, although very similar, they are not interchangeable. An agreement means that somebody has agreed to work with you as their agent to list their property or to work out of them from a buyer consultation standpoint. Under contract means that we've taken that client and we've either received an offer on the house or we've put an offer on a house.
Mhm.
We put a contract in place. So you may get a listing agreement and not get a sale. You may have a buyer consultation agreement or a buyer brokerage agreement, and that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to execute a contract with them. There will be some fall off there. It happens to our best agents. You will get fired. It will happen at some point in your career. I've not met an agent that has not got fired at least one point. So we need to calculate out for that fallout, and 25% is pretty steep. It's probably not going to be the case, but we're going to go ahead and plan for the worst case scenario. And what's great about planning for the worst possible case is that it's probably not going to happen. So we just overshoot our goal. We'll probably make more than $100,000 because we're probably not going to lose 10 agreements. That's crazy. That's almost one a month. That doesn't happen. One or two may happen, but let's plan for the worst.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, please, Dwayne.
As far as the agreements, buyer brokerage and exclusive buyer's brokerage and the right to sell, how long would you try and put your client in that agreement?
Are you asking for my personal opinion, or do you want the legal answer that Melba would give?
Maybe, I mean, just like, I guess maybe like an industry standard, if you know, just what's kosher.
Okay. So loaded question, and I love those. It always depends on the market. Right now, like normally, like listing agreements, the times that I've sold them personally, like whenever I've sold my personal property, I would sign a listing agreement for 6 months or a year. I'm not sure that there would be sellers willing to take a 6-month contract with you right now.
Not even 6 months.
Listing agreement.
Wow.
I would say 6. In a normal, there's such things like a normal market, but like in a In a balanced market, like right now, we're in an
Stable.
extreme seller's market, but in a balanced market, I would say probably a 6-month agreement. In a buyer's market like we had in 2008, 2009, 2010, you probably would sign a year-long listing agreement. There's also different factors too that depends on like the property. So like if you're signing like a commercial agreement, it may be different. If it's an investment property, it might be different. Some agents who work with investors on the buyer side, they'll sign like 2-year buyer brokerage agreements because they know they're going to buy multiple offers or multiple properties with that that investor for 2 years or more. It kind of depends on your clients, depends on their needs. But I'd say like right now, average, if you're taking a listing agreement, it should be 3 to 6 months. If you're working with a buyer, those are typically 6 months to a year. I would be probably pushing a year right now if I'm signing a buyer brokerage agreement.
Right. Okay.
Yep. Personal answer now, if I can speak personally, I'd get a year for all of them. Lock them up.
That would be the ideal thing to do. It's just getting people to agree to that extent,
Yeah. Yep. Well, and that's where, you have to talk about the value of what it is that you're offering. We'll talk about that a little bit on Wednesday, on why people should sign with you, and what it is that you're offering. And part of that too is just the communication of what it is that you do, because there's a lot of buyer's remorse, a lot of seller's remorse, especially right now, a lot of seller's remorse of, well, all you did was put my house inside the FMLS and it sold in 24 hours. So like, why am I paying you a $10,000 commission? Like I could have did it myself. That's the real obstacle that we have to come across right now. And I'd say the key thing is we have to stress our value. Sale binders aren't as high as they should be right now. But ask the ALC members in your market center too. A lot of them be more than willing to share that information. Ask a top agent; they might give you something different. And appointments kept. Man, I wish I would love to say that every appointment that we set gets kept, but that doesn't happen. You will get ghosted. You will think that you have great rapport with people, but they'll go dark on you. So we have to plan that we're going to set some appointments and some people aren't going to show up. All right. Now, going all the way to the end, if I want to make $100,000 in real estate, this means that I have to have 31,604 leads. Who just got punched in the chest by me saying that out loud? Stephanie is like cracking.
Because I'm just thinking about the 25. I'm like, where would he get that 25? I'm like, you gotta touch it. It's a lot of contacts that need to be made. Even strategically, the way that you mentioned, which I love that, like versus just going out. Because I've always heard, oh, it's a numbers game. It's a numbers game. I'm like, but there has to be like an easier way. I mean, you do have to still reach a lot of people, but I mean, there has to be a way to target, whether you're investing money in some sort of Facebook and Instagram and stuff like that. But it's worth it because now you're approaching it more strategically. So you're not just reaching anyone, you're reaching a certain amount, like a certain group of people that are actually or showed some type of interest by clicking maybe a little picture of a house somewhere.
So how many of you, and some of you may have seen it today, have driven down the road and passed the Mark Spain billboard?
I've had people tell me, I used to help a family member. He does, I think he does wholesaling or whatever. I would just cold call for him. But I would get so many people, if you're not from Mark Spain, I don't want to work with you. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Boy, you want to talk about somebody who has mastered his niche, his UVP, get a guaranteed offer on your home. To stay in culture, I'm going to clean up my language. Yeah, well, no, duh. In this market, what Mark Spain does is not unique. I'm sure that his business is probably not nearly as good as it could have been a year ago or 2 years ago, because almost every house, if you put a sign in front of the yard, it's getting an instant offer, several offers. And what Mark didn't do was unique, but he went all in on his one strategy. And I'm sure he has several others. He's not a one-trick pony. But that's something to be careful of. You kind of have to diversify, that you're not known as just the luxury agent, and you pass up people who would be willing to do business with you. We've seen that too. Of when you target yourself as a luxury agent, somebody with a $200,000 home think that they're not the right customer for you. So you be careful with your marketing. Think about that. But think about this: Mark Spain's billboard. I'm sure that I haven't been driving nearly as much as I have lately. Is it fair to say that probably if he has 5 billboards, he probably gets in front of 31,000 people a day? A day, not
I
just a
would
year,
say.
but a day.
That's fair to say.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Now, here's the thing. That's getting in front of 31,000 people. To Stephanie's point, that's the numbers game. That's hunting with a shotgun, not a rifle. Now, here's why we pitch and we train. And if you're part of productivity coaching, and if you're not, I would recommend go meet with Robert and Bill immediately. Go talk to them about their program. They're going to talk a lot about getting smarter on those conversions. Why do you think we pitch door knocking as something all agents should do as they first get started? If we know that people driving by Mark Spain's billboard has a car, what assumption can we make about people who open up a door?
They have a house.
They have a house. I can't make that assumption with everybody that has a car, but I can make the assumption that every door I knock probably belongs to the owner. Statistically speaking, it does. So we go hunting where it makes sense. We're going after people that have homes. And that's why you'll see that door knocking, tried and true foundational thing that you want to put in your back pocket. That's one of the things that you'll want to do. And if it's not door knocking, then we want to go after for sale by owners and or expired listings, kind of for the same reason. They have a house and they told us that they had intent to sell. A for sale by owner put their own sign in their yard. An expired listing put somebody else's sign in their yard, but they told us their intent to sell. That's getting smart with those numbers. You may not need 31,000 leads when you're going after people that have houses with the intent to sell. That's where the skill sets of getting better with your scripts and your dialogue makes a huge difference. Everybody has an objection. With an expired listing, you're making up for an agent that didn't get the job done. That person still needs to sell their house. You just need to prove to them how you're going to do it better than that last agent. With a for sale by owner, they also intend to sell. They don't see the value of a real estate agent. They don't think that you're worth the $10,000 or whatever commission. So again, they have the same intent as the expired. It's a different objection. I need to show them, prove to them how I'm worth every penny. Now, I'm the tech guy. I can go down those scripts. I would give you about 50% of how good those scripts are. Robert, Bill, and for anyone who's at Chat North, Mignon, our productivity coaches, they'll help you with those scripts and dialogues to handle the objections with those groups. They're phenomenal. I've also, and good timing on my shirt today, I just heard that we have a session called Bold coming up June 1st. We haven't started signing up for that yet. Keep an eye on that class. It is the foundational course inside of all of KW. We will have an online version of that starting on June 1st. We'll probably start marketing it in the next month or so. Keep an eye out for this class, BOLD, Bold. You'll get a lot of the scripts and dialogues inside of that class. It is dynamite. It's the best class you'll ever take. I've now graduated from it 4 times. It's my favorite.
Scripts.
Now, let me get rid of some of your anxiety here. We're looking right now at your annual goals. If you need to get some clarity as to how you can achieve these things today, there's a button up here that changes it from this year to this month. And this is something I can digest. So I click up here, this year to this month. Now, instead of saying that I have to go out and get 24 deals, I can manage 2 a month. I can manage getting 3 under contract. I can probably get to 5 agreements. It's a little bit more than 1 a week. I can sit on 6 appointments. I can go set 9 appointments. Heck, if I really wanted to kick butt, I could set 9 appointments this week if I wanted to.
Okay.
The question is, how do I get in front of 174 people? How do I get in front of 300 or 3,507?
This
Go
is
door
cool.
knock a couple hundred houses. Go run a Facebook ad. Go cold call through whatever directories we have. Go call your database. You'll get in front of these people, but just know that this may be the number that you need to if you're playing the numbers game versus the skill game. Hard, you can work smart, you can work both.
Okay.
Do it daily.
Okay.
The second that you get behind, if you were to break this down weekly, so what's the 3,507 divided by 4 weeks is 800 people a week. So that could be, honest to goodness, one $20 Facebook ad would get that. Get you in front of 876 people. Probably a $20 Facebook ad will get you in front of 1,500 people if you do it the right way. But figure out your strategies. We're going to talk a little bit tomorrow about the lead generation model. If you want to jump ahead, that's the lead generation model inside the MREA. It's going to talk to you about the difference between prospecting and marketing and the different levers that you can pull on. I'm going to end the class with this. Think about what it is that you want to target in real estate or what your lead generation source will be. Most top agents have it figured out to one primary lead generation source and then two supplementary. So that what that may mean is that door knocking is my thing. A good example of that is Brian Smith out of the North Atlanta office. Brian Smith is the king of door knocking. Now, you can go talk to him about his strategies. He'd be more than willing to share it with you because I can promise you're probably not in his territory. He's up in like Dahlonega, like Gainesville, that area. So you're not going to impede on his territory. Don't worry about it. He'll give you his strategies, but he door knocks. That's what he does. I don't have the personality for that. It's not my thing. I would suck at door knocking. I'm a former team leader. And before that, I was in recruiting and marketing. My skills are on the phone. My skills are on Facebook and Instagram, social media. So for me, I would probably be doing calls to my database is my number one, social media number two, and then probably calling for sale by owners is my three because I like that. I like the scripts. I'm good with the scripts with that. But you're going to find your primary source of lead generation and supplement it with two others. This is huge. There's a million different ways that you could lead generate. Like you could do the Mark Spain way where you go broke putting commercial ads on TV and billboards and do all those things. Those are probably great for him, but it's not going to work for everybody. Find those key three things and get serious and go all in on them. So when you hear me talk about getting focus on those three things. Don't chase squirrels. We do that a lot as new agents because there's a lot to chase. All right. Any questions from today? Give me two ahas. Give me two takeaways from today's class.
Don't chase squirrels.
Don't chase squirrels. Yeah.
That was a great way to end the class. Appreciate all the insight and walking us through command.
You got it, James. Thanks for coming on board. All right. Give me one more aha.
I need to go back and read The Shift.
Yeah. Shift is an incredible book. The first thing that comes to mind when I think of Shift 2 is there is a 7th level open house, which is a great thing for new agents. Most people will just have an open house. There's a model in there on how you get the most out of an open house. Let me see if I can get the book real quick. And you'll see most of my books are marked with craziness and stuff. Goodness gracious. Figures I don't have it handy. Yeah, but take a look at that book. And Shift is awesome. It has 12 tactics inside of it that are super practical. It's the 12 tactics that you need to get through there. I would say what's really, really intelligent to do if you're going to read the Shift book right now is that this book was written in, I think it was published in 2008, if I'm not mistaken, right when we were going through like the Great Recession. And at that time, real estate was a big, bad buyer's market. One of the worst, I don't say the worst, there's no such thing as good as bad. One of the most buyer swayed markets that we've ever had. So that means that you would sell your home, get an offer, and then you would be reducing the value of your sales price. But Shift gives you 12 tactics. It was written to work with buyers and sellers. Anytime that you see the word buyer, change it to seller. Anytime you see the word seller, change it to buyer, and everything applies for today's market. It's just the opposite of where we were in 2008. But the advice is fantastic. We started doing that about a year ago when COVID hit. All the advice is still incredible. Yeah, the books, let me see here. The books. Yeah, kellerinc.com. I would recommend start with Shift, SHIFT.
Okay.
MREA is what we abbreviate it to, but that's the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book. That one's more like a textbook. The One Thing is my favorite book. Again, nothing to do with real estate. It's all about priorities. And fun fact about me, none of the books look like this. I hate book covers, so I rip them all off immediately as I get them. But search for the title. Gary Keller and Jay Papasan are the authors on all of those books. If you search The One Thing in Gary Keller, The One Thing MREA, they'll come up. And then there's another millionaire real estate agent book. It's called MREI, Millionaire Real Estate Investor. That's another great book. That's probably your fourth read. There's some really good financial advice and information in that one too. Cool. Excellent. Well, hopefully y'all enjoyed today's class. You got some value out of it. Tomorrow, we're going to get really nitty gritty into your database. And I love tomorrow's class, especially because I get to talk a lot more technology. I get to geek out on some of the things that we've built. It's one thing to say, hey, we put the math and the algorithm inside of Command. Tomorrow, I'm going to show you how artificial intelligence is something that we're using at Keller Williams to make sure that y'all look like you'll have a crystal ball inside of real estate, how you can help your clients, get to know your clients, and even get an edge on who might be looking to buy or sell before you even have any clue that they're doing it. So that's going to be a fun class tomorrow. If I didn't lose you, if you didn't like me today, connect with Leanza, but now hopefully I'll see all the same faces tomorrow at 1:30 as well. Same link.
Can I ask a random question?
Please. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording. And then if you guys just want to